Well, everyone, as most of you know, iOS 26 has just came out, and the most interesting thing that we ended up seeing within iOS 26 was the fact that our iPhone 11 and above ended up getting this version of software. Now, I'm a fan of that. I actually did like seeing that a lot. Seeing these types of iPhones get these types of versions of software is actually something that's really cool. And that in and of itself, I am a really big fan about, But here's the thing within iOS 26. I actually do feel like in almost every single way, the iPhone XS could have probably ended up supporting iOS 26. Now, I'm not upset at Apple. I feel like they gave the iPhone XS a pretty good length, of software, 7 years. It's pretty decent. I'm more so kind of saying this as kind of a, statement more towards iOS 26 and how somewhat of a small update this was coming from, the iPhone, from iOS 18. Now, numerically, that's a pretty big number difference, going from iOS 18 to iOS 26. But the biggest change that we kind of saw here, in my personal opinion, was that within iOS 26, there's this new look that Apple kind of threw in here. I do understand that typically when you have an iPhone like this of this caliber, it does require a little bit more of a processing power to run something like, iOS 26. But it looks like the new look feature is one of those things that people aren't even that happy about. It looks like people are actually kind of upset about iOS 26, specifically when it comes down to this particular, new liquid glass approach. So that right there is actually a very interesting thing in and of itself. Now that's one side. The other side of this is that with something like iOS, 26, some of these changes that Apple kind of threw in here also kind of range from being like very, cool, nice to have features like iMessage backgrounds and, new live translations and stuff like that. Those things are specifically for iPhones. Some of those things are specifically for iPhones with Apple Intelligence. But I genuinely do feel like with something like an iPhone XS, this phone could have probably supported a majority of those types of updates and changes that we ended up getting. So I feel like by looking at this iPhone from that perspective, the XS probably could have lasted longer. I think it ended at a decent spot, but I'm hoping iOS 18 does eventually get a little bit better so that by the time, iOS 26 comes out, we at least have a good version of software behind it to kind of upgrade to and kind of use. So in terms of that kind of covers that out there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.